Hello and welcome to the first introductory video, and in this video we're going to cover the Northern Progress Tracker. Now, of course, recording our progress on a regular basis is really important for helping illustrating the change that we're making over time, and whether that's positive or whether we need to change tact accordingly. Now, for recording progress previously, we did draw upon a template within an Excel spreadsheet, and again, that worked out to some extent fairly well, but obviously there were areas for improvement. And with that in mind, we have adapted some elements of our progress monitoring and reporting elements. And in our first example here, we're going to show you how to access the new progress tracker. And one thing we're going to capitalise on is the fact that each workstream has its own dedicated Google account. And that arises as a result of the thematic analysis exercise that we undertook. Now, to access your Google account, just to remind you that once you open like Google Chrome or a similar browser as such, you should be able to view which account you're in at the moment. And again, you can see some of the accounts that I have access to here, such as Wellbeing and Learning, Systemness, Social Intelligence, and Equality Investments. Of course, we'll make sure that you've got access to these details so that you can access these accounts in their full totality. But to access this, I'm just going to go and make sure that I can go into the Google Drive, and typically what I just search is Drive and it comes up in my history, but you may need to search for Google Drive specifically. And what you'll find within that Google Drive, you'll make sure that you've got your own workstream specific progress tracker. And once you open that, you'll find that the format is similar to what we had previously, but slightly different, in which we've tried to make it more accessible by splitting across the brag statements, and these are our statements of progress, which we pretty much evaluate in light of the evidence and provide a bit of narrative around our progress towards achieving our measurable aims. And that's a really important thing to keep in mind there. It's our progress towards achieving our measurable aims. And of course, accompanying that subjective evaluation using those colour coding statements, we can provide a little bit of narrative around that there. So again, drawing on that, we're trying to make it as accessible as possible. And of course, using our colour coding, we've still enabled our features whereby we just need to enable the letter, and that will automatically colour code the relevant box. For example, G for green, R for red, A for amber, and B for blue. And of course, what it is, we're evaluating our progress towards these measurable aims. And just a highlight on what these statements mean and what the colours mean, most importantly. Green, it would indicate that we are making good progress towards our measurable aim and there's no barriers towards achieving this. Amber would indicate that there is some progress towards a measurable aim, however, there may be some slight barriers towards achieving this, and again, this should be monitored. Red is where we want to highlight that there are significant barriers to achieving our measurable aim, and indeed we might want to highlight this in order to receive support or some form of intervention to rectify this. And of course, what we're aiming for over the course of this plan is to reach that completed stage where we've achieved our measurable aim, and that is represented by the blue colour there. So of course, really important that we have a clear understanding of what those colour codes mean. And of course, what we want to do is to reflect on the data that we have here. And again, just to make it more accessible, reflecting on our previous version, we've split that again into separate tabs so that you can enter in your various measures in an accessible way. So here again, you can see within this column, priority 1, measure 1. So you've got a specific column dedicated to this one measure that you can complete over time accordingly. Again, same here, the same priority, but you may have a different measure for that priority or that process measure for that priority. And again, a dedicated column which you can complete downward there, instead of clustering it all together like we had previously. And the same sort of format applies there. Now, the language is fairly generic, and you'll find that maybe there's some random numbers in there at the moment, just because we're putting structure towards the data dashboard with this. And that's just, again, as I say, it's trying to bring together that structure in the data dashboard, because ultimately what you put into this progress tracker will feed in automatically in a live fashion into the data dashboard, and you'll see that overview at a glance. And ultimately that's going to help you understand your data over time, and that will help feed in to your evaluation on a month by month basis of progress towards your measurable aim. And again, the reason why we've shifted over to Google from Excel in the team space was simply the fact that we were finding that people were accessing the spreadsheet, and again sometimes there was some clunkiness issues, and sometimes we would find that this would lock them out of editing for reasons unknown. So hopefully by doing this it makes it a lot more manageable by making sure it's workstream specific, a little bit more accessible by splitting the three main features across the different tabs there, and ultimately feeding that into an automated live data dashboard process which will allow you to review that and of course avoid those issues of locking people out there. Nonetheless, you'll have all the support from the team to help you do that, and of course whenever something is flagged as an issue, as a red, or if there's an amber that you want to review, again the project management improvement team are there to help assist you in that endeavour to ensure that those barriers to achieving your measurable aim are minimised. So it's really important that again we complete this on a regular basis, particularly on that monthly rotation over the next 33 months as we've got highlighted within this sheet.